Good morning, everyone. Join me today for today's coffee talk. I know we're getting here a little bit late, but better late than never. So here we are to discuss today's topic. Just a reminder that October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So today, the topic that we have to discuss is supporting victims/survivors. So we can get right to it. If you know or suspect that someone is a victim of domestic violence, you might feel unsure about the best way to help. But don't let the fear of saying the wrong thing prevent you from reaching out. Ahead, we have a few steps that you can follow in order to be able to be that support for somebody who is in need. So, the first thing we want to discuss is making time for them. So, if you decide to reach out to an abuse victim, do so in a time of calm. You want to make sure you're not getting involved during a time where the crisis is very high, because that will add stress to whatever it is that's going on. So it can cause a flare up or put yourself in danger. Please make sure you set aside plenty of time in case the victim decides to open up. That way, you know that you're also in the right state of mind to be able to discuss with them and be able to, listen to them and do what is best or what they're asking from you. The next step would be to start the conversation. So again, first it was to make that time, make sure you're giving them that respect that they need. And so then for number two, it would be to actually start the conversation. You can bring up the subject of domestic violence by saying, I'm worried about you because, and then, proceed to tell them the reasons why you're worried about them. Or I'm concerned for your safety because I've noticed X, Y, and Z. Or simply by saying, I've noticed a few changes in you. I've noticed that you're no longer as happy as you used to be, or we don't. It could even start with just a place of friendship, letting them know I've noticed we haven't talked as much. I'm wondering if there's something going on that I haven't been able to talk to you about, or you haven't been able to come to me about. And of course, so you would want to be discreet about any information that is disclosed. Do not try to force the person to open up. And please let the conversation feel and unfold at a natural pace. You don't want to be too pushy. So you want to take it slow and easy. You want to let the person know that you are available and that you're offering a sympathetic ear. Then we go on to the next step, which would be to listen without judgment. If the person does decide to talk, listen to the story without being judgmental. So, of course, this can be pretty hard, especially for those of us who always want to jump in and feel like we have the solution. But please know that the victim will have their solution. It's just a matter of kind of, planning it out and knowing that they have that support in order to actually be able to go through with it. Offering advice or suggesting solutions, you have to be very careful not to do that. Chances are, if you actively listen, the person will tell you exactly what they need. So you just give the person the full opportunity to talk. And of course, you can ask for clarifying questions, but mainly it's just to let the person vent their feelings and fears. You may be the first person in whom the victim has even confided. It's really hard for anybody to just come through and say, hey, this is going on with me. So if you're the first one to put that foot forward and let them know that you're there, it might get them to open up, and you may be the first one that they ever talk to about this. Next, we have learning the warning signs. I think that's the main thing, that we have to be able to spot those signs, and we have to be careful about how we address them, how we bring them up. So if the person, so a lot of people will try to cover up the abuse for a variety of reasons, and learning these warning signs of domestic abuse can help you help them. So some physical signs to look out for would be black eyes, busted lips, red or purple marks in the neck, sprained wrists, or bruises in the arms. And I know that these are these are the most evident And those are the ones that, whenever people think domestic violence, that's the first thing that we think of, the ones that are clear and visible. However, it's not always like that, right? So then if we go on to emotional signs, some of these signs could be somebody having low self-esteem, somebody who's overly apologetic, or somebody who seems very fearful. If you notice that somebody's patterns of, sleeping and eating has changed, that's also a sign that we can look out for and kind of, point out whenever you do bring that conversation, like, hey, I've noticed that you're not eating as much, or I know that sounds kind of funny to bring up that way, but maybe just something I've noticed that you seem pretty sleepy all the time. It seems like you're always tired, and I'm wondering if there's something that's impeding you from, being able to get a good night's sleep. If somebody is very anxious or looks like they're always on edge, if somebody is abusing substances, that's also another warning sign to look out for. If somebody has symptoms of depression or the loss of interest in things that they used to enjoy. And of course, a really big red one would be if somebody's talking about suicide, if it seems like they've been very suicidal lately, that's definitely a warning sign that something's not right. Some behavioral signs to look out for could be somebody who's becoming withdrawn or distant. A lot of the times, people that have been in domestic violence relationships end up being isolated and not able to look out for support, or they feel alone, they feel like there's nobody there for them. So if you start noticing that somebody hasn't been hanging out with you as much, and then there's more signs, some of like the ones that I've mentioned before, then this could be a red flag and something to point out, let them know that you haven't seen them in a while. If they cancel appointments with your meetings at the very last minute, or they're always late, if they're very private to the point where it seems excessive, when something concerns their personal life, then this is something that definitely could be a sign. Okay, so then we go on to the next sign, to the next step. And so that would be believing the victim. The main thing you want to do is believe the victim no matter what they say, because again, if you are the first person that they confide in, you want to make sure that they feel believed. You want to make sure that they don't feel unsupported by you. Because domestic violence is more about control than anger, often the victim is the only one who sees the dark side of the perpetrator. Many times, others are shocked to learn that a person they know could commit violence. So again, sometimes it's even the people that you least expect. Consequently, victims often feel that no one would believe them if they told people about the violence. Believe the victim's story and say so. For a victim, finally having someone who knows the truth about their struggles can bring a sense of hope and relief. Remember that you can bring this to somebody who's really struggling. Offer the victim these reassurances. So this would be the last step. So some reassurances that you can provide for them is, telling them, just, I believe you alone is such a power statement. You can tell them this is not your fault, because nobody chooses to be in a relationship like this. Nobody chooses to endure abuse. You don't deserve this. Let them know that they don't deserve this. A lot of the times people have been in a relationship for so long and this is all they have known, that they end up believing it. So you being a person of support, telling them that they don't deserve this, could be a huge sense of hope for them. Validating their victim, validating their feelings is another big one. And of course, it's not unusual for the victims to express conflicting feelings about their partner and their situation. So remember that these feelings can be guilt and anger, it can be hope and despair, and it can still be love and fear. If you want to help, it is important that you validate their feelings by letting them know that having these conflicting thoughts is normal. Even if you don't understand it, that's something that we have come across a lot of our victims, where even though they've endured severe abuse by their partner, the love and the hope is still there, and that's completely okay. So it's important for you to make sure that you let them know that it's okay. But it is also important that you confirm that the violence isn't okay and that it's not normal to live in fear of being physically attacked. Some victims may not realize that their situation is abnormal, again, because they haven't had any other models for normal relationships, and they have gradually become accustomed to the cycle of violence. So tell the victim that the violence and abuse isn't part of a healthy relationship. Without judging, confirm to them that their situation is dangerous and that you are concerned for their safety. Make sure that is the main focus, trying to find them that safety. I think that is all I have for today. So I really want to thank you all for joining us. Please make sure to tune in every Monday morning so that you can join us for another coffee talk. We would be doing 2 more, I believe. I think we have 2 more left. Our last one on October 31st will also be done in Spanish. So please do share our content so that we are able to connect with you and raise awareness in our community. Again, thank you all and have a great Monday.